All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's good to see everybody here. Welcome to our visitor. I was walking in, he was walking at the same time, so we were able to talk for a little bit. So, welcome here. Man, what a great congregation we have. I mean, John with such an amazing input in the Word, and my God, sister, that was amazing. I mean, both of you, I mean, everybody here will be able to bring something to this congregation and to Elohim's people. So keep signing up for the mini midrash. Please keep coming to Wednesdays for Bible studies. Matthew is doing an amazing job. Um, we were saying in the second writings we were talking about um, Romans. The study that he's doing in Romans, he has been amazing, a lot of learning. So I encourage everybody to come to those Wednesday studies as well. All right, so we're going back to the Parsha. We have Parsha VaYelech, Devarim 31. As we're getting close to the end of the book of Devarim, Moshe continues giving the final instruction to the children of Israel. Moshe finished speaking about the blessings and the cursing in the portion before, of what happened when you don't walk in the Torah of Elohim. Parsha VaYelech, just like John was saying, is one of the shortest parshas in the Torah, even though the shortest one will be at the end of the Torah cycle in verses or in words, but this one contains one chapter in our scripture and is divided into 7 aliyah, or portions. Okay? The whole parsha is a preparation to that song of Yahweh that was given to Moshe to tell the people of Israel. And that will be in the next parsha. Moshe is getting ready to give Israel the final instruction before crossing the Jordan, and the final instruction of Moshe as a leader. It has been a long journey for Moshe, 40 years that he had been leading the people of Israel. Moshe is one of the few characters in the scripture that we have an account from the moment that he was born to the moment that he died. Think about that. We don't have too many characters in scripture that we have a complete account like we do in Moshe. He was a handsome child. Of course, he was Moshe. I'll try to take that on him, being a Moshe himself, myself. So it comes with the name. We're just handsome people. No, I'm kidding. So he was from the tribe of Levi. His family tried to hide him for 3 months from the decree of Pharaoh to kill every male born from the Hebrews. His family didn't give him a name as far as we know, and might be a possibility that they probably didn't expect him to live too long. Because remember what's going to happen. The firstborn of every Hebrew, they were being killed. So we don't have a recording that he was giving a name by them. Elohim had a purpose for that child from the beginning, from Moshe. His family put him on a basket and put him in the marsh. Sometimes we try to think that they would put it in the river going very fast, but in the marsh it's going on the side where there is flooded, so it goes a little bit slower. And just in case something would have happened, we know the family was right next to it, just in case they needed to jump and go get the basket. And so the family took that precaution. So he was picked up by no other than Pharaoh's daughter. Okay, that's when the big story with Moshe began. He was giving back to his family to be raised. So now his family not only have the child, but they're also getting paid to raise their own child. Where do I sign up for that? I would love to have that, With my 2 kids, man, somebody pay me to raise my kids. It will be amazing. So that's what happened with Moshe's life, okay? So he was giving back to his family, and this child grew up with his family. And we don't know this for sure, but it seems during those years that he was growing up with the family really talked to him to not forget about his people, where he came from. Okay, and we're going to see that in the later years, how that played for Moshe. Okay? So no wonder why when he grew up and went back to live with Pharaoh's daughter, and he was literally being raised as a prince of Egypt. Think about that. So he was a Hebrew child that was rescued, and now have the daughter, and he was really raised as a son of Pharaoh. Okay, he was a prince of Egypt. So Moshe didn't forget about his roots. And I wonder how hard that was for Moshe. Can you imagine him knowing that you were a Hebrew and going outside the palace and seeing the Hebrew being slave? And you couldn't do anything about it? How hard that is. I mean, when you are in a foreign land, when you are in a different country, and you're seeing your people being enslaved and work very hard, and there's nothing that you can do. So that was probably hit Moshe very hard, and he got very frustrated. That's why the next time we heard about Moshe, that's when he saw the Egyptian striking the Israelite. And what did Moshe do?
Kill him.
Jump up and kill him. So you see, Moshe had that in him, that he loved his people. He loved his people. He saw what was going on, and it was time for him to step up and doing. And that brought life-changing consequences for Moshe. So Moshe then saw two Hebrews were fighting each other, and Moshe asked, why are you beating your brother? You guys are supposed to be brothers. He saw that unity was probably the only thing that was going to save the Israelites. So when he saw them fighting, he got upset about that. But no, we know what happened. So it's like they couldn't even recognize Moshe as a Hebrew. They probably saw him as an Egyptian. He looked like them, probably talked like them. So it's like, who are you? Are you going to kill me like you did the Egyptian now? So Moshe knew it was time to flee. Time to flee. It was time for him to get out of there. Moshe goes to the land of Midian. Then that's on the other side. I don't know if you guys are familiar with maps. That's on the other side of the Sinai Peninsula. So he actually had to go through the same, from Egypt to get there, he had to go through the same wilderness that he didn't know that he was going to spend 40 years of his life to get to the other side. Think about that. Moshe went through that wilderness to get to the other side, to the land of Midian. So many years passed. The king of Egypt died. Things got worse for the Israel and Mitzrayim. Yahweh heard his people. It was time for them to get them out. Moshe was back in the wilderness, this time tending the sheep of his father-in-law, when Elohim called him to go back to Mitzrayim and led the people of Israel to go to the land that was promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to worship in the mountain. And we all know what happened after that. Okay, we don't have to go through every single moment of the life of Moshe. We saw the plague, the parting of the sea of reed, receiving the Torah, and the many other stories that we found in the Torah of the 40 years that Moshe led the people of Israel in the wilderness. Okay, so he's now, like John was saying, 120 years old. Actually, seems that was the day that Moshe was turning 120. He says, I am today 120 years old. That's very rare to read in the Torah or anywhere in the Tanakh, but it seems that was the day that Moshe was turning 120, and that's in verse 2 of the Parsha. And Yahweh said to him, you shall not cross over this Jordan. So that was the first instruction that was given to him there. So we know why Moshe wasn't being able to take the children of Israel to the promised land. And the incident that happens in Numbers chapter 20. And I think I left the clicker here. Yes. Sorry here. So it's probably too late to read, but if you turn to Numbers chapter 20, and we can all read together there, he says, and the children of Israel and all the congregation came into the wilderness of Zin in the first new moon, and the people stayed in Kadesh. And Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation, and they assembled against Moshe and against Aaron. And the people contended with Moshe and spoke, saying, if only we have died when our brothers died before Yahweh. Why have you brought up the assembly of Yahweh into this wilderness, that we and our livestock should die here? And why have you brought us up to Mitzrayim to bring us to this evil place? Not a place of grain, or figs, or vines, or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink. Then Moshe and Aaron went to the presence of the assembly, to the door of the tent of appointment, and they fell on their faces, and the steam of Yahweh appeared to them. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, take the rod and assemble the congregation, you and your brother Aaron, and you shall speak to the rock before their eyes, and you shall give its water. And you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give it to drink to the congregation and their livestock. And Moshe took the rod from before Elohim, as he commanded him. And Moshe and Aaron assembled the assembly before the rock, and he said to them, hear now, you rebels, shall we bring water for you out of this rock? Then Moshe lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod. And much water came out, and the congregation and their livestock drank. But Yahweh spoke to Moshe and Aaron, because you did not believe me, to set me apart in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore, you do not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. Okay, so that's going back to Numbers chapter 20. So Moshe disobeyed the command of Adonai. What was the command that was given to him?
Speak to the rock.
Speak to the rock, right? So he didn't do that. So that was going to be a larger or a bigger miracle that happened back when? In Exodus 17. So what happened in Exodus 17? He was commanded to hit the rock. Right? So this time it was not the rock being hit. He was actually going to say it. So, but look at what's going on back there. So we know that Miriam died there and was buried there. So we're getting close to that 40 years that they were still in the desert and they were still complaining. And this time Miriam died. Miriam was about traditionally 126, 127 years old. Aaron was 123, and Moshe was getting close to be 120 years old. And Miriam was very close to them. So what happened? They were sad. They were frustrated. Their sister just died. There was a circumstance in their life that it was hard for them. They were mourning their sister. So out of that frustration and the people complaining again, got to that point that, okay, this is, you want water, I'm going to give you water. And that was Moshe's first mistake by doing that. So again, we have the passage on 17, on Exodus 17, that it says, and Yahweh said to Moshe, pass over before the people, and take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your rod in which you struck the river, and go. See, I am standing before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rod, and water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink. And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Israel. So we have that story. So Elohim wanted to do something bigger. He said, just speak instead of striking it. In Numbers 20, the explanation of why Moshe was not going to lead Israel to the land was kind of quick and not in a lot of details. But in the next portion for next week, when it comes to the sun, he gave us a little bit of a better explanation in chapter 32, 49 to 52 of Deuteronomy. He said, go up to this mountain of the Abarim, Mount Nebo, which is the land of Moab, which is the opposite of Jericho, and look at the land of Canaan, which I give the children of Israel as a possession. And die on the mountains which you ascend, and be gathered to your people, as Aaron your brother died on the Mount Hor, and was gathered to his people. Because you trespass against me in the midst of the children of Israel, at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, and the wilderness of Zin, because you did not set me apart in the midst of the children of Israel. For you are to look at the land before you, but not enter there, into the land which I'm giving to the children. So this is the main part, because you did not set me apart in the midst of the children of Israel. And we have talked about this before. It doesn't matter who we are. You can be the greatest leader in the history of Israel, as probably Moshe was. Or you can be a pastor, you can be a rabbi, you can be anybody, but we are not above our Elohim. We have to do whatever he commanded us to do, and do it his way, not our way. So even Moshe, after 40 years of frustration, wanted to lead the people back to the land. He was not able to do it because of his disobedience. So that was what happened with him there. And we might think that because we have a great relationship with the Father. Everything is, and we do the best to keep His Torah, that we're not going to fail. And that's a big problem that we have. And that's the beauty of being a disciple and not just a follower. It's not about us or our strength, but it's about Him. But remember, be very careful on the things that we say or the things that we do. You guys remember Kepha? Peter? What did he say? Peter, Matthew 26, 33, 35. And Kepha answered, say to him, even if all stumble in you, I shall never stumble. Jehoshua said to him, truly I say to you, that this night before the rooster crows, you shall deny me 3 times. Kepha said to him, even if I have to die with you, I shall not deny you. And the 12 ones say the same too. We can say that we are very strong in our faith. We can say that we are right there. We're doing the best that we can, keeping all the Torah and all the commandments, and do the best that we can. But we have to be careful with our pride. And us, it's like, oh, I know everything. I don't need to do anything anymore. Because we can do the same as Peter did. It's like, me? Oh, man, I will never going to disobey. I'm always going to stay straight. I'm always going to do what the Father is telling me to do. Yeshua, I'm going to do everything for you. But we have to be careful because He's saying, this is what's going to happen, Peter. Because of circumstances. What are some of the circumstances in our life? For Moshe was the death of his sister. For any of us can be the death of a relative. It can be circumstances when the money is not coming in, when we don't have work, when our family get on us because we're going back to these old ways. So those are circumstances in our life that can make us stumble. What happened with Peter? What was the circumstance there for Peter? Yeah. Hey, I'm going to be there. But what happened? Hey, are you one of them? No. I don't even know who that is. 3 times he denied the Messiah. So again, circumstances in our life, just like Moshe, just like Peter, you don't know what can happen. So what happened when we're walking, like Peter was walking on water, when the water is calm, everything looks good, right? Hey, we have work, we have money coming in, our family is healthy, everything is great. Oh man, I can follow Yahweh that way. When things are going my way, I can follow Him. It's very easy. What happened when we start seeing those ways? Save me, Father. Yeshua, don't let me drown here. Come help me out. So that's the same thing that we do, brothers. We need to stay firm in His Word. And we need to learn, just like David and some other people in the Scriptures, that even when the circumstances are against us, we need to be able to praise Him. Okay, we should not be a people that goes up and down, hot and cold, hot and cold. Or being warm, lukewarm, which is even worse. Okay, that's one of the things I do as a coach. I tell my players, you play your game. You cannot play up when you're playing a good team, or you cannot play down when you're playing a team that you're not better than them. You always play your game. That's what we practice. That's what we practice. So you have to be ready to go play your game. We have to be ready that no matter the circumstances, we're going to be there for our Elohim. And that's the difference between His people and those that goes through the ups and downs. People usually come and try to seek Him when we are in the lowest of our life. But when we are up there, we tend to forget about Him. So we always have to be careful when it comes to that. So, sorry, Moshe, you're not leading the children of Israel to the land that was promised to Abraham. But Moshe is not the end for you. That's the message. I let you see it, but one day you're going to be there. It's not going to be in this life. Hey, you're 120. You're not going to live too long. You don't want to go there for a couple of years. Okay? Something is better is going to come for the future for you. Verses 3, 5, and 6 of Deuteronomy 31 of the Parsha. I say, Yahweh, your Elohim, is passing over before you. He shall destroy these nations from before you, and you possess them. Yehoshua himself is passing over before you, as Yahweh has spoken. And Yahweh shall give them over to you, and you shall do to them according to the command which I commanded you. Verse 6, be strong and courageous, do not fear, nor be afraid of them. It is Yahweh your Elohim who is going with you. He does not fail you nor forsake you. The land was ready for them to take. We talked about this a couple of parshas ago. All they have to do is trust in Elohim and take it because Elohim gave it to them already. He say he, not an army, not the people. He shall destroy this nation. He shall destroy this nation. I'll give it to you. You just do what I command you to do. Many times we want to do more than is required for us to do. Okay, the Father has a purpose. He's telling us he does his part. What is his part? He has an end goal, taking us back to his kingdom, do his will, and going into eternity. What is our job? Follow him. Be obedient. That's our job. So let's try not to do a little bit more. Let's stick to our job and do what we need to do. So what happened when we let Elohim fight for us? We win. All right? What happened to Jericho? How many bombs do they have to send to get the walls down? No bombs? Are you kidding me? No AK-47s, nothing to go and conquer them? No, what did they do? Walk around, blow the shofars, boom, it came down. They have to do nothing. What about Gideon? Do you remember Gideon? I love this. They were the original 300s. Okay? We love talking about the 300 for Spartan, right? We are Spartan! Guess what? They were part of a 7,000 Greek army, and they all died. They were killed completely. What happened with Gideon? He started with 32,000 men to fight against 135,000 Midianites. But Elohim said, nope, that's too many. From 32,000 to 300. Why? Because Elohim wanted to show himself. It's not about you. It's not about your strength. It's not what your army can do. But it's about what I'm going to do. What do? They got so confused. They're 135,000. They have no idea what was going on. They started killing themselves. And the rest, 15,000, were taken captive. You see, but we don't like to talk about these 300. We like to talk about this Greek 300 that they all died because for history, this is too easy. There is no way that Elohim or God can do that. But this is a real 300, guys. I mean, the other Spartans, I like that. We are Israel. You see, that's it. But they didn't have to do anything. Elohim did it for them. How many battles Israel in their history lost when Elohim was on their side? It's a number between 1 and -1. Very easy, 0. They didn't lose one battle. How many battles they lost when they started being disobedient and doing their own will? All of them. To the point that they were taken captive. They went to foreign lands. They were scattered all over the world because of their disobedience. Like John was saying, what have we done? How can we not learn these lessons? I mean, we read this. We saw what he did when Israel was on the side, but we still want to follow these images or do our own will. Not keeping Shabbat, eating whatever we want. If we follow him, he'll fight for us. Is that too hard? We understand it's easy, but again, circumstances. So Israel thought, oh, we're being prosperous. We can do whatever we want. No, you're being prosperous because you were being obedient. So why are you going to stay away from that? Keep going back to him. Keep going back to him. David and Goliath, who defeated who? But you have a whole army that was what? Scared. They were scared. That guy is huge. They're going to kill us all. A teenager have to come and say, what? That guy don't scare me. I mean, why are we scared? We have Elohim on our side. Let's go and fight him. I got this. Saul gave him his armor just like, no, I'm not here to defend myself. I'm here to fight. One rock. That's all it took. One stone. Jonathan and his servant, you guys remember that story? So what did he do? They climbed. Hey, we got this. They were just like in the 300s. They got so confused that they started fighting each other. And that's it. It was given to them. But it was the spirit that was in them that say, we have saw what Elohim has done for us, and we're going to go and take it. So that's the difference between Elohim is on our side, Israel is doing good. When Elohim is not on our side, we do whatever the heck we want. So that's when we get there. Let's not live in fear, okay? We have to do his will. We know he's on our side. How many battles have he fought for us that we don't even know? How many times has he protected us? Protected us when we are driving or in our house, or people that wanted to take something from us. I have so many stories when I used to live in Venezuela, even that I was doing my best to walk alive the way he wanted, what I knew back then. But we were protected. It was at one point our house in the neighborhood that we were, all the other houses around were being robbed. Our house was never touched. That's something that we say, we're like, wow, I mean, what was happening back then? It's not because we have dogs. The other places have dogs too. But I don't know. Was it Elohim protecting our house? How many other things have happened that we don't know that he's actually protecting us? Back to the Parsha, verses 7 and 8. Jehoshua is confirmed as the leader of Israel after Moshe. He was going to have the privilege to take the children of Israel to the promised land. Elohim has his purpose and will use the right person at the right time to fulfill his purpose. This time it was Jehoshua. And during the study, we are starting in the afternoon the book of Jehoshua. We knew why Jehoshua was the clear person to lead the people of Israel. Just because of his obedience, he was never afraid. When they told him, hey, go get an army and go fight, he said, yes, I'm going to go ahead and do it. He was one of the ones that came with a good report after sending people to go to the land. So again, many other things, but Joshua was the one ready to take Israel to the promised land. I love the translation from the Septuagint. We love the be courageous, be strong, but the Septuagint say be manly and strong. It's like, come on, man, just take some pride. Go ahead. You know who is in you, so go ahead. Be manly and be strong. Because it's not going to be easy. Why was it not going to be easy? Because John was talking about, it's the same thing that it really struck me is, you have Moshe giving it to Jehoshua. Both of them are right there. And Elohim is telling them, look, I'm going to give you this word, this Torah, but guess what? They're going to forget about it. They're going to do exactly the opposite. So it's like, who kind of leader want to take that job? It's like, hey, this is what they're going to do. This is what your employers are supposed to be doing, but they're not going to do it. But there you go. You're the boss. It's like, I don't want that job. Give it to somebody else. If they're going to fail, why do I want that? I don't want it. But they stepped up and did it. You know what? They didn't care what the whole world was doing. They say, okay, we're going to do our job because that's what Elohim want me to do. So I'm going to tell them, I'm going to pass this Torah, I'm going to write it down, I'm going to put it to the ark. Then Jehoshua, when he got back to the land, he wrote one himself. How many more he wrote? Probably more. But that was what he was supposed to do, to remind the people, because now they have the written Torah. Before it was passed orally. Now they had it written. Now they send us the Messiah to show us how we live, the living Torah, and then the Torah is going to be put back in our hearts. So we have no excuse. Now we had it written. So they cannot say now, oh, I didn't know that. How you didn't know? It's right there. I mean, that, he still said it. I mean, and he wrote it, the first tablet, with Elohim's hand. The hand of Elohim wrote it. And we are saying that that had been done away with. So, who do we follow? So this task that Jehoshua and Moshe have, telling the children of Israel, this is the Torah, but they're going to fail. They're going to follow other gods. They're going to worship them. They're going to completely forget about me. But they step up and they say, yes, we're going to do it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to do whatever you want us to do. That's amazing. What about us here? Because look in the world that we live. It's like, why do I want to go out there and tell the people that we're sinning, that we need to go back to Him? They're not going to listen to us. But we have two options. They're going to listen to us for two reasons. We're either not walking, and they're not rejecting us. They're rejecting Him. So that's the way Moshe and Jehoshua saw it as well. We, Moshe, Jehoshua, we're going to do our part. We're going to do whatever you told us to do. I don't care what the rest of the world is doing. But I'm going to do my job and tell them what you just asked me to do. What a beauty that is. That's the approach that we need to start taking, not caring what everybody else is doing, but just do the job that we have been commanded to do. Verses 14 and 15. I love these verses for some reason. It said, while Moshe and Jehoshua met, say that Yahweh descended in a cloud. How many of us think of this when we hear about that? This is what we see right here. Or that's the image that I had where he said that Yahweh descending in a cloud. Just a cloud right there at the tent of meeting. Going back to the Hebrew, Greek translation, going back to the Septuagint, the translation might give us a different perspective. As in Exodus 34:5 and Deuteronomy 31:15 says that Yahweh descended in a cloud. Not as a cloud, not as in a form of a cloud. It says Yahweh descended in a cloud. Isaiah 19:1 says, the message concerning Mitzrayim. See, Elohim is riding on a swift cloud, and he shall come into Mitzrayim. And the idols of Mitzrayim shall tremble at his presence, and the heart of Mitzrayim melt in his midst. Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. This is one of the oldest manuscripts that we have found of Daniel. He said, I was looking in the night vision and saw one like the son of Enoch coming into the clouds of the heaven. And he came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. In another translation, say, I was watching in the night vision, and lo, as it were a son of man was coming upon the clouds of heaven. And he came as far as the Ancient of Days, and the attendants were present with him. Who was this figure that looked like if he were the Son of Man? Coming upon the clouds.
Coming again that way.
And he's descending into the cloud. And there you go, Revelations chapter 1, verse 7. See, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, even they who pierce him. and all the tribes of the earth shall mourn because of him. Yes, amen. And that translation with can be on, in, upon, or writing. The same way going back to Isaiah. It's just something to think about it. Because we think that image of just a column of cloud and that's it. But it says like coming in a cloud. Amen.
So when somebody says you got your head in a cloud, that may not be a bad thing.
That might not be a bad thing. Might not be a bad thing at all. But just something to think about. So it was not the form of a cloud that Elohim descending in the form of a cloud. He said like he was in the cloud. I don't know. It's something that really got me here when I was doing this. And said that Moshe was there waiting at the entrance, just so Yahweh commanded. And the rest of the chapter, Yahweh started giving Moshe, again, not so good of the news. Again, 120 years old Moshe receiving all this news about, hey, they're going to fall. They're going to fail. They're not going to keep the Torah. And they also, that day also, we're going to talk about next Parsha, is Moshe wrote the song that we will learn in the next Parsha. Moshe wrote in the Torah in a book and placed it right next to the ark to serve as a witness against you. And again, we go back to what is now is written. There is no excuse for us to say it is not there. I can do whatever I want. That happened just back then. No, it is everlasting. It is forever for us to keep. Now, let's go. Okay. We are on verse 19. No, 23. 23, we said that Moshe told Yehoshua again to be manly and strong one more time. Again, there was a law that was going to come up. And then we see that 4 times in the book of Joshua, just in the first chapter. Be manly and be strong. We're studying that as well. All right, so now Moshe is about to do his final address. He's calling the leaders of the tribe, elders, and judges, so they can address their own group, right? So he's calling them. He's also calling the recorders, so it can be passed from generation to generation. But most important, he's about to call the 2 witnesses that won't fail. 2 witnesses. The only 2 witnesses that have been there from creation and that will be there until the end of this age. Where are the 2 witnesses? Heaven and earth. Okay? Heaven and earth, so they can witness against them. The men might fall by not spreading the message. You can burn all the scriptures that you want, like it has done throughout history. You can try erase history or the Torah from history, or do whatever you want to do. But one thing you cannot erase is heaven and earth. None of us can. So those are the 2 witnesses that he's calling. They have been here since creation. Bereshit 1:1, in the beginning Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Yeshayahu, Isaiah 66:1, thus say Yahweh, the heavens are my throne, and the earth is my footstool. So again, it has been there from the moment of creation, and we will see it. Deuteronomy 19:15 said that 1 witness shall not arise against a man for any sin or guilt that he might commit. According to 2 witnesses, or according to 3 witnesses, a matter shall stand. 2 witnesses can provide conclusive proof of reality. 1 witness cannot. Deuteronomy 19:15. Thank you. 1 witness shall not arise against a man for any sin, and according to 2 witnesses or according to 3 witnesses, a matter shall stand. 2 witnesses provide conclusive proof of reality, but 1 witness does not. 2 Corinthians 13:1 quoting from Deuteronomy, say, by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word shall establish. So it was important to have those 2 witnesses. Not earth by itself or not heaven by itself, but both of them together, heaven and earth. The 2 witnesses were there when Elohim spoke his word to Moshe. They were there 1,500 years when Messiah came. So it was there from creation. It was there when Moshe was speaking, and it was there at the time of the Messiah. Right? We have Matthew 5:17. Do not think that I have come to destroy the Torah or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. And let's, for the sake of discussion, I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. Okay, let's say that he came to fulfill the law according to that, right? And that's one of the passages that is very quoted by churches to say that we don't have to keep the law anymore because he fulfilled it, right? Or completed. Okay, let's say, that's true, which I don't see that he said, I did not come to abolish it, but 3.5 years later, I will. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? We all know that. But verse 18, how can we deny that one? Matthew 5:18, Luke 16:17. For truly I say to you, till the heavens and the earth pass away, one jot or one tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Luke 16:17. And it is easier for the heaven and the earth to pass away than from one tittle of the Torah to fall. Yes?
Fulfill the Torah, he could not be our Mashiach.
Amen. But again, goes back to how you can argue 17, but how can you argue this one? Do we live in a new heaven and a new earth since Messiah came? We do not, right? We live in we're still in the same earth and the same heaven. And we can argue that, and I'm going to tell you why. Yes, they're the same. Actually the same. And we're going to see why we can start making a good argument about that as well. So Yeshua is actually saying that it's easier for the heaven and earth to pass and for the Torah to be done away with. Plain and simple, especially when it comes here. It is easier for the heaven and the earth to pass away from the one tittle of the Torah to fall.
The heaven and earth passed away. Wouldn't it mean we would too?
Hello?
But the Torah will prevail.
Yeah, it'll be after we are.
It still be here. So, yeah.
So, when he comes and he is our light, the heaven and earth,
Okay.
I don't know, it's going to be different. I think at some point, there's a time that heaven and earth will pass away.
And we're going to get there. So again, we want to study to the point where we can talk to people. It's like, okay, do we live under the same heaven and earth that Yeshua did, or we are living in a different one? And these are some of the answers. Isaiah 65:17. For look, I am creating a new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come to heart. Okay? So if we were living in a new heaven and earth, everything that happened from Messiah's back there, we should have not be able to remember. Anything from Bereshit 1 to the last part of the history when Messiah came, died, and resurrected, because according to that, he was still here. So anything from that point, we were not going to be able to remember. We will not remember creation. We will not remember the flood. We will not remember any historical event that happened before the death and resurrection of Messiah. Isn't that what you guys see right there? If we were in a new heaven and earth, we will have no recollection of what happened. So that tells us that we are in the same heaven and earth that Messiah was. So the law, the Torah, hasn't been done away with. Revelation 21, verse 1, and the whole chapter is beautiful. I recommend you guys to read it. And I saw a renewed heaven and a renewed earth. For the former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea is no more. If we were in a new heaven and earth, we'll have no sea. That's what I said right there. Do we see? So we're still cover 70% water cover this. So when somebody tried to say that has been done away with, I'm sorry. We still live in the same heaven and earth that Messiah was. And he said that the Torah will prevail even after that.
Our bodies are made up of
70% water, absolutely. So we still, yeah, I'm just, it's amazing how when the lie has been done, had been given for so many years, for so many centuries, that it becomes truth. But it's not our truth. This is our truth. And the lie that the enemy has been doing for centuries, millennials now, is still going, but it's still not the truth. The Torah is everlasting. It was given orally. It was given to them written. He sent the Messiah to show us how to live, the living Torah. And later on, that Torah is going to be written in our hearts for us to live it. So we have to go back to his word. We have to go back to his word. And we cannot care what everybody else is going to say. Even as discouraged as the message could have been for Moshe and Yehoshua, saying that they're going to fail, not going to keep it, that does not give us the right for us not to continue doing his will. Let's return to his Torah. Let's seek him while he can be found. It is not too late. We have a lot of work to do for him, just as Moshe and Yehoshua. We know it's not going to be easy. By no means, God forbid. Absolutely. The Torah has been established. Many people are still waiting for the good news. And that includes the Jews. That includes Ephraim, Manasseh, the rest of the tribe, the Gentiles, the nations that are keeping some of the Torah, but they're still waiting for that good news. So we cannot give up. We need to stay together as a people of Elohim. Because when we separate each other, when we are so proudful of, oh, what I'm doing is the right thing, and I have matter of opinion with my brother, I'm just going to separate. That's what the enemy wants. That's exactly what the enemy wants, separation. We need to stay together as his people so the people know that he has sent us. Let's stop being prideful of, oh, we got this. Let's share it, brothers. Let's share it. Let's live it the best that we can and show it to others, because there are people that are still hungry for the word, that they are seeking, and they want to be part of that people of Elohim. That when we see the Torah, we read the Torah, we're going to be, wow, this is what I was waiting for. That happened to me 10 years ago. I came about this time 10 years ago here to VaYelech when I was searching out. And I thought I was just going to be hanging out with the Jews for one day. That's what I thought I was going to do. But no. Once I heard that Torah and everything started making sense, was like, wow, this is what I was looking for. This is what I have been waiting for. And just like me, there is thousands of people out there waiting for that same message, saying, come back, return to me. This is my freedom. You're free now because you know exactly what to do as I have commanded you. That's the freedom that we have in him. We're getting close to the holidays. We're getting close to Yom Kippurim. So it's a time that we need to come examine ourselves, because at the end of Revelation 21 says, we need to be, I hope that my name, my family's name, each one of your name will be written in the book of